franchising, there's basically three different types of ownership. There's the owner operator, which I was with Image First for 20 years. There's what's called the executive model, or you'll sometimes hear it called semi-absentee. And here comes some more folks. And semi-absentee means that you are running the company that owns a franchise. So you're the executive and you have managers that are running this franchise business. And typically that's in a multi-unit situation where somebody owns 3 or 4 or 10 different locations, and they've set up a business and a corporate entity in order to take care of those. And then the third, and it's not rare, but it's special circumstances, is what's called a master franchisee or an area developer. And those folks buy whole states or parts of a state. And not only are they the franchisee in that area, but they are also developing the rest of the units. So they are a hybrid franchisee franchisor. Now, three of the hottest industries within franchising right now, and this is measured by the unit growth over the last 5 years. Total franchising, 13.7%. In the tech services industry, 55.4% growth in units. Health and wellness. And health and wellness, I want to point out, isn't just gyms. It's not 24-hour. It is, but it's much more than that. It's also, there's a lot of senior care franchises that are coming in. There are meal type franchises. There are in-home centers where they'll deliver meals to homes. And it also covers mental health, like Ellie Mental Health, Lifeology, and Nora Mental Health. And then pet services coming in at 37.7% growth in units. So those are the top 3 industries right now. And today I'm going to give you an overview of what the strategic alliance with Bay of Vista Executive Advisors and franchise building expert really means to the world of franchising. Because we not only help people that are coming into franchising as first-time franchisees, but with Don's experience, Don Shin, who owns Franchise Building Expert, Don Shin has been in the franchising industry for over 25 years. And where I owned a franchise business and ran it, Don was a master franchisee. So he's had experiences on both the franchisor and franchisee side. So with that knowledge, we're able to help emerging franchisors with their franchise development and selling new franchises. And then we also help small business owners that own their own plumbing shop or whatever the case may be, and they want to turn that into a franchise. Just a little bit about my history. For those who don't know, I spent 6 years and started my career with RegCap as an industrial engineer in a manufacturing plant. And 3 of the 6 years were in Honduras, leading other engineers starting their first offshore facility. Then we moved to Philadelphia for a year, and I met Jerry and Jeff Burstein, who owned Image First. And I worked with them for a year until they offered me the first franchise in 1998. So we moved back to Cincinnati and started Image First from scratch. And in 1999, I joined the fire department. With John's help, he's taught me everything I know. And now I'm combining those 2 experiences of running a business, owning a business for 20 years, and the leadership experience of being a fire chief. And I'm helping other franchisees to see success that they're only dreaming of. Now, how we help people that are interested in owning a franchise is we will start, and by the way, there's no additional cost to the person that uses a consultant like us. We are paid by the franchisor. That way I can continue in SCORE and have clients that are my SCORE clients because they never pay me. And what we do when we first get started is we'll look at what the vision is for your business ownership. And to get to the basic question is, why are you doing this? What's the reason? And that helps us discover what type of franchise brand is the best fit. Just like everybody's fingerprint, each franchise brand is different by the nuances in itself. So then once we spend a few weeks, and typically for the first month to 6 weeks, I'll meet with a client each week. We'll have a set time where I meet with them, and we'll just dive deeper and deeper into what their vision is and why they're doing this. What type of franchise do they feel most comfortable with? Brick and mortar or in-home, home-based? Now, once we do that, this is where the experience and resources that we have with Franchise Building Expert and Bay of Vista is we have an inventory of 370 franchise brands, which we can take that model for the business owner, and we can match it to a specific brand. That helps increases the chances of success on down the road. And that process of matching to a brand, that can take another 2 or 3 weeks, depending on how deep and what we dive into. And when I'm having this conversation with a client, I'm more looking for what they don't necessarily like about a brand I'm presenting to them. That way I don't make that mistake the next iteration. So once a prospective franchisee picks 1 or 2 brands, I will introduce them to the franchisor and the franchisor's development staff. This gets the process going, and anybody can jump right to this step to begin with. They can get on a franchisor's website. They can hit the button that says, send me more information about franchising. And now they're in the system. And once that happens, I can't help that person anymore. Once they've contacted the franchisor before me, I can't help them anymore until they become a franchisee. So once we make the introductions, my role becomes more of an advocate as opposed to a career coach, because I'm helping the prospective franchisee through the process, but I'm also making sure that the franchisor and their franchise development team aren't dropping the ball anywhere along the lines either. So we'll talk through, the client and I will talk through what's happening with each step of the way. And during that time, if all goes well with the introduction call between the franchisor and franchisee, the franchisor will send the franchise disclosure document, or FDD. And the FDD is this big, thick governmental template that is required by each franchisee to fill it out. And the questions are all the same. The information that each franchisor puts in is different, but they're answering all the same things. So it's just a template. I typically will advise my clients, if they don't already have a franchise expert in the legal industry as a lawyer, that I can introduce them to the resources that we have. And the reason that you want to have a specific franchise expert as a lawyer is because they've been through this document so many times, the boilerplate, they don't have to go through that. They know the important parts. It's typically a set rate. Whereas if you use a business attorney that doesn't deal in franchising a whole lot, my experience is they'll charge you an hourly rate, and it will cost way too much. So we introduce our clients to the legal experts, and also if they want lending, we have funding resources we introduce them to. And the next step, assuming everything is going to plan, is what's called Discovery Day. And that's where the franchisee, during the pandemic, most everybody switched to virtual. Almost all of them are going back to in-person, where the prospective franchisee goes to the franchisor for a full day. They'll see the operations. They'll talk with the people and get to know them better. They'll develop that relationship on what's expected and when it's going to happen. Some clients like their consultant to go with them. Others don't. And that's fine. But leading up to that Discovery Day, we'll have multiple conversations about questions to ask, how to ask it, things to look for, any fears, because the number one, there's 3 factors that kill any kind of deal, whether it's franchising or not: fear, time, and partner support. So at any time along this way, when I'm sensing a client is becoming apprehensive about something, we'll just pause in the middle of it and talk about it and talk our way through it. Once Discovery Day happens, if everything goes well, some franchisors will sign the franchise agreement that day. Others will make you wait. And when you do receive the FDD, you cannot sign for 15 days. There's a 15-day cooling off period. So then once you sign the contract, you get ready to go. Vista Executive Advisors also helps you with personal masterminds and leadership development as your journey starts and continues. Now, I said I'd go through a couple of, and I won't do the full show like I would if y'all were clients right now, because we would spend, probably 45 minutes on each different franchise brand. But this just gives you an overview of what I go through with clients, and also of the resources necessary, the cash necessary. And I'll start off by saying 70% of franchises that you buy into are between $75,000 and $150,000 total investment. 70% of franchises are within that range. 10% of franchises are an investment below $50,000. I'm very leery of those, and they would have to be special circumstance. And the other 15 to 20% of franchises, and these are typically the brick and mortar restaurants, hotels, those kind of things. And you'll see here, the investment is above $250,000, and it's because of having a location. But USA Ninja Challenge is an emerging franchisor. They have currently 20 units, and by emerging franchisor, it varies, but I define it as less than 50 units. They're just getting their wheels started, and they're getting their traction. But USA Ninja Challenge is a private client of Franchise Building Expert, meaning Franchise Building Expert is doing the franchise sales for USA Ninja Challenge. And its founder, Richard Knight, began in 2014, began franchising soon after that. And basically what this is if you've ever seen the Ninja Challenge on TV, it's a national, worldwide phenomena. This brings it to children, and this teaches athleticism, and it has all different kinds of skill level ranges and different courses. And they also compete nationally. They have teams like Allie's gymnastics team would compete on a state and national level. They have teams for the Ninja Challenge that does it also. Most franchisors will provide a veteran discount. Some will provide veteran and first responder and teacher discounts. And the financials for this, and these are things every franchisor looks at: minimum net worth of $300,000, minimum cash, liquid cash of $100,000, and that means you can write a check today or within the next couple of days. franchise fee of $60,000, and your total investment, not including working capital, is $318,700 to $419,400. And again, this is a brick and mortar, so the cost to get in is a lot higher. And now we'll go to a home-based and Nerds to Go franchise. Now, the thing I noticed in this, and it's what I had with Image First, is there's a significant gap between when the company started and the franchising. That's important for me because that tells me they've had plenty of time to iron out their operations. So they're not on two learning curves at the same time. A lot of people think that when I franchise my business, it's just the same business. I'm just expanding it. It's completely different. Franchisors that don't set up a separate franchising segment of their business have a lot of difficulties. So this one, it tells me that they already have the operations ironed out. With Image First, they had been in business 25 years of laundering uniforms and healthcare laundry. So they knew the operations. For veterans and first responders, they get 50% off of the franchise fee. Currently have 30 units, and you can see what the financials are there. But the key thing here is your investment is about a third less because you don't have an outside facility. Now, how we help small businesses get into franchising. And Don has done this a couple of times. I'm working with a couple of clients right now where we're doing this kind of thing. And basically, we will go into a small business, and the first thing I experience typically in a small business is just like my Grandpa Fry's plumbing shop. He knew everything. He knew all the systems. He knew where to buy everything, knew all of his customers, but he never wrote anything down. So his business value had no value. What we'll do is we'll go in and we'll consult with the business to make sure that they have the systems in place. In order, it's almost like getting it ready to sell, because you're selling this business to other people and telling them they can be just as successful as you. Then we'll introduce the owner to the experts that they'll need. They'll need a trademarking typically and other legal aspects. They'll need somebody to write their FDD for them. So there's other things that they'll need to in order to franchise their business, as well as in some states, they're required to what's called register with the state, which is a whole nother level of red tape. And then we also provide various levels of franchise development. If they do not have a sales staff, they'll become a private client and we'll do their franchise development for them and provide the ongoing leadership and development, whether it's one-on-one coaching or through our mastermind groups that Don and I have. Emerging franchisors. Again, these are typically units, companies with less than 50 units. Some of them have a sales staff or at least a franchise development director, and we will work with them. We have an online course that we sell. We also do, again, the group masterminds and one-on-one coaching in order to help a client. And then also the private client, we will do all the franchise development for them, except we will not review the FDD, which again is a legal document and could get us into a whole lot of hot water and ambiguity for no reason. And we don't do the signing. So anything that's legal, we do not do for a private client. I certainly appreciate y'all being here. Does anybody?